Live in a few minutes.
Oh, we're live.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Candid Conversations with K and K. I am Kimberly Coleman, aka Sister Speaks. Right next to me is my podcasting sister, Kay Renee. Good morning, Kay.
Good morning. Good morning, Kim, and good morning, our audience. I hope all is well with each of you on this beautiful Saturday morning.
It is beautiful here too. It seems like fall. I'm here in Oklahoma City. For those of you who don't know, fall has finally come to Oklahoma City. It was 99 degrees on Monday, and it's getting ready to go back into the 90s again. So I don't know what that's about, but I'm just grateful that fall has finally entered into Oklahoma City. You all help me wish my podcast sister a very, very happy birthday. Happy belated birthday because her birthday was on Wednesday. But Kay Renee and I are kindred spirits because we both celebrate our birthdays all month. Mine
That's
in the
right.
month of February, Kay in the month of September. So tell me, how was
September.
the day? I saw you on Art Show. How was the
Oh my
birthday?
goodness. Well, first and foremost, Kim, thank you for the birthday wishes. Thanks to all again with the flowers, cards, text messages, a post on all social media. I truly just want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Definitely my tribe of women, whom I will see some of them this afternoon after this broadcast. We're going to have brunch.
Oh,
My
great.
Yeah, a special shout out goes to my big brother, Mr. Art Chat Daddy Sims. He laid it out, ladies and gents. Not
I
only
saw that.
being on the show, I don't know if you can see from my background, he did it up. So I love you, Art. I know you're doing your thing this morning with the bike ride. So I love you, sweetie. I'll see you on Monday. And then my godmother, Mrs. Annie Ruth Baker. I tell you, it's great to have godmothers, and I've been blessed to have a few. She is the last one because she was very close to my mother. They worked
Hmm.
together when they were teaching at Crane High School, and
Oh,
literally,
okay.
Kim, she taught English, whereas my mom taught biology. And when my mother became spirit on Christmas Day 2010, she's taken that role very seriously. And when I tell you she's provided me some wonderful sage wisdom, I just love her to life. She took me to lunch, and then she said, "Renee, I gotta go shopping." I said, "I got you." And so we kicked it almost like Thelma and Louise. And
Oh
so
gosh,
I truly just enjoy her and love her to life. And
that's
she's like that
great.
last link to my mom, right? So
Okay,
given the fact this is my 54th rotation around the sun, I am just very grateful to God for him to allow me to be here to continuously make a difference. And that's
good,
honestly, Kim,
good.
that's why we are here. We are
Right,
truly here to
right,
serve. And for
right,
those who just not don't get it, you will get it. That's the reason why you're here, is to serve. Never forget
right,
that.
right, right. Well, thank you for sharing that with us. I'm glad that you had a wonderful birthday, and a great day. Thank you for sharing that with us, and we love you to death and excited
Back
about
at
that.
you.
So
Back at
happy
you.
birthday. We just
Thank
want to
you.
recognize, before we bring our wonderful guest up, we want to recognize a few people that made their transitions this week. Um, we lost Melvin Van Peebles, a wonderful filmmaker, sweet badass, really a pioneer, and that is why he was lauded by you know Lee Daniels and Spike Lee, his own son, Mario Van Peebles, who was on CNN with
Mhm.
Don Lemon this week. And so we just want to give a shout out to him. We also lost the comedian AJ Johnson, who was in, I know you got the hookup, who was in BAPS, which I just watched yesterday, and Friday, and he died this week. And also the author Jane Powell, who was a great actress during the 40s and 50s. So we just want to send light and love to them, and just say that, you know, this happens, it happens, but we just want to send light and love to them as they have made their transition.
And there's one more that we cannot forget, who was Patti LaBelle's sister, who was
Ah,
the
sorry about
co-founder of
that.
LaBelle,
Yes,
Miss
yes.
Sarah Dash, who, I mean, she had just performed with Patti a few days before she
Right.
transitioned.
That's Saturday.
And
That's Saturday.
so our heart goes out to Patty, Nona Hendricks, who was the third member of LaBelle, and the rest of Miss Dash's family. You know, I I don't like when we have to report these transitions, but ladies and gents, you must remember death truly is a part of life. When you come
Yeah.
in this world, best believe you're gonna leave here. And how while you're here in this world, continue to live your dash, because
Right.
we're all going to have a
Right.
dash one day. So our
Right.
prayers of
Right.
love go to every one of the families. Those we have not reported. You know, we're still in the middle of pandemic, ladies and gents. Folks are still leaving this earth because of COVID. We would be remiss if we don't say, if you need to get vaccinated, get vaccinated. But if you choose not to get vaccinated, wear the damn mask.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you, Kay. The
Mhm.
last thing I want to talk about, and we're going to talk about this more later in the podcast, is our condolences to the young man that from Illinois, Jelani Day, who was missing
Yes.
since August 25th and was found, I think, in a lake in Illinois. He was
Mhm.
getting doing his graduate studies with his Illinois State, and he
Illinois
was a
State
member
and
of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
Q.
And so yeah, and so
Yeah.
we'll talk more about that later on in the podcast. We have a wonderful guest on today. As many of you know, we talk about women empowerment. We are on the verge of going into a month really that talks about men and women. Let's be fair, but mostly women. Where we talk about Breast Cancer Awareness Month and Domestic Violence Prevention Month, which is the month of October. And so, in order for us to kind of preview that, we want to make sure that our health, our mental and physical health are great. So we have a young lady that's coming up. Her name is Lynn Woods-Mullins. She is a holistic living and wellness expert, publisher, producer, talk show host, and published author. And she's going to tell us more about that. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Lynnis. I'm sorry I said that wrong. Lynnis Woods-Mullins. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Or as you said, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good. It's actually sunny and I can actually see the sky in California. You know, we've been having all the fires and stuff. And today
Yeah.
it's kind of bluish brown, but I'll go for that. It's sunny. Good to be here today.
Now, Lennox, are you originally from I started to say Oklahoma, from California? Is that where you're
Yes,
originally from? Really?
born and
Okay.
raised. I am the California girl. My parents are from Georgia. And
Oh.
they met in college. My dad was from Marietta. My mom was from Griffin. My dad went to Morehouse. My mom went to Spelman. And
Okay.
Oh.
when he got
Same as
out
my
of
brother and sister. Same. My brother and sister
really,
went to Morehouse and Spelman. Yes.
I went to Spelman too.
Oh,
Okay.
great. Oh,
My sister
good.
went to Spelman. My cousin went to Spelman.
So everybody
But
spelled it.
my mom and dad came out here to California when my dad was in officer school for the military. And when he exited, they settled here. And I
Okay.
grew up here. I have two sisters. We all grew up here. And then we went south every summer to visit our parents. Up until the time I went away to college, I was there every summer. So I feel like the South is my second home. So
Oh, great. Oh, great. So I found you. I was in a room in Clubhouse. For those of you who all don't know what Clubhouse is, it's an app that you can have on our iPhone and Android phones where you go into rooms and talk about various subjects, and it is a great tool. And so I saw you there in a women empowerment room where you were talking about wellness. So tell everyone a little bit about what you do, your purpose, maybe a backstory of how you started it, please.
okay, sure. Well, I am a holistic living and wellness expert for women over 40. And I specialize in helping women to be well in their mind, their body, and their spirit through teaching them about holistic practices, fitness, nutrition, and spiritual renewal. I've been doing it exclusively online for the last it'll be 14 years in April. But
Wow.
yeah,
That's a lot.
that's a long time. But before that, I worked in corporate America for 25 years. I had raised to the C-suite level in human resources. And at the age of 51, I discovered that I had an anxiety disorder and decided to take a year off. And actually, the way I discovered it was I had an event. I basically just fell apart. And my family had an intervention with me, and they said, look, you need to take some time off. You're not resting. I looked fine on the outside, but I wasn't doing well on the inside. I was an
Mm.
emotional wreck and ended up with an anxiety disorder. I always say it's not what you look like. It really isn't. It's what your health is like. That's what's most important.
Yes.
We as women are
Yes.
so good at covering it up with the hair, the makeup, and everything else.
Yes.
In terms of what was going on inside was not cool. And so I took a year sabbatical and got some help. I went through therapy, got some counseling, and really began to start peeling back the layers. Found out that I was a victim of post-traumatic stress for something that happened maybe 20 years hence, that I knew was traumatic, but didn't know that it had impacted me that way. My
Wow.
mother was killed on her way to work. She was hit by a fire truck on her way to work.
Oh my
And she
goodness.
was only 56 at the time. And the way I
Oh,
found out was really traumatic. And that had been sitting in my body for years. And it finally, came out to an anxiety disorder. So during that year off, as I was getting counseling and figuring out what I wanted to do, I also realized that I didn't want to go back to what I was doing.
mm,
I have been climbing that ladder for 25 years, finally made it to the top, and I wasn't happy. For years I was like the only black this, the only black that, the only woman this, the youngest that. And it's stressful being the first. It's stressful.
Yes, it is.
Fighting off those white boys, stressful.
Hmm.
And I was raising four daughters. I was on my second marriage, and I wanted that one to be successful, and I knew that I needed to do something different. And so I left. When it came time for me to go back, I called my boss and I just said, thank you for holding my spot, but I'm not coming back. And yeah, I know he was real happy about that. So I
I'm
thought
sure.
that, I would open up a dance studio because in my other life, I was a dance minor when I was going to Spelman, and I had taken dance all my life. So I thought that I would open up a dance studio for women over 40. So I kind of test marketed it by holding dance classes at my local church. They let me use their community room or whatever. And that was really great. But I could see there was so much more that was going on for these women than just the need for dance. I had women who were obese, women who were coming out, just been diagnosed with breast cancer, going through chemo. I had women who had high blood pressure, high cholesterol, others that had the empty nest syndrome, and still yet others who were dealing with depression or anxiety. And I said, I got to do more than that. So I began to really think about what I could do to help women not be at the place where I was, in denial about not feeling good, pushing back all those emotions, probably doing some emotional eating. It just didn't stick on me because I'd always been a skinny mini. But skinny people have health issues too. Okay, we all have something. We all have something.
right,
So
right.
I decided to, go back to school, and I got, some certifications in Pilates and yoga, nutrition, holistic living, meditation, and, a bunch of these certifications. And I hung up my shingle, so to speak. And initially, the name of my company is Praiseworks. And then when I went to go get my was it INN? What's that called? Yeah. I changed it to Praiseworks Health and Wellness. And that was in 2000. Well, it was almost be 14 years. So do the math. It'll be 14 years in April. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And in the process of doing that, I found out a few things. First of all, I had done no marketing research. What's that? I was not a business person. I was in human resources in corporate America. I knew nothing about business. So I hadn't done any market research. So I quickly found out that the women who I really wanted to reach out to were not online like that. That this was a kind of a groundbreaking idea, because while we still had social media that was out there in 2000, this is around 2009, 2010. A lot of us were not on there like that. And
Right,
definitely
right.
the whole mind, body, spirit movement was still very new. And initially I wanted to help African American women. And that was definitely woo woo back then for a lot of African American women. So it was just like crickets. So
Hmm.
I had to pivot. And I started out with a podcast. I was on Voice America, and got some sponsors for that. And I did a lot of other things, and eventually began to design coaching programs. And at that time, about 90% of my clients, in terms of my coaching clients and people who purchase my webinars and not my following, but the people who paid me money, they were not African American women. They were white women, and that just used to hurt me because I did this initially to get into the idea of speaking into African American women's lives because I felt like we were really suffering, and But I also realized that we as African American women have so many priorities and things that we need to do. So I did a lot of things for free to bring them into the fold and so they can get the information. And things just began to grow in terms of my social media following. I started out at zero because I didn't know anything else about social media. Now my combined following is close to 200,000. And it wasn't until this past January, a friend of mine who I co-wrote the book with, Power Up Superwoman, she calls me. She says, "Lynnis, you have got to get on Clubhouse." I said, "What's that?" She said, "It's this audio medium." Da da da. I said, "Girl, I don't have any more time. She's, "Lynnis, just get on there, just for a minute, just so you can just see what I'm talking about." So I got on there for just a minute, and I was on there for the whole weekend. I was like, "Wow, this is an amazing platform." But
Yeah.
the thing that was most amazing was the amount of midlife women that were on there. Oh my God, I could not believe it. For someone like me that's been, online working with midlife women for almost 14 years, this was like a dream come true, that all these women who I speak to every day, 365 days out of the year, just about, they were actually there. And it was there that I finally began to get more African American clients, which I'm just thrilled about. It's no longer like 90% now, it's more like 60-40. And it's
Oh,
because
excellent.
Clubhouse, because, I am in California. So, all of us aren't like out here that much, even though I had the network of Spelman sisters and Morehousemen and all of that. It just was, everybody rises to the occasion when they're ready. A lot of my cohorts that I, used to hang out with, they were in their 50s when I first started, like me. Okay. Well, now they're like my age, 64, and they're like, okay, I think I need to do something because things are beginning to go awry. And sometimes it will happen in your 40s, sometimes it will happen in your 50s, your 60s, but at some point it's going to happen. I mean, after all, we're all aging. And many of us have found out that why we need to have doctors, they are good at prescribing and they're good at diagnosing. But the reality is there's so many other things that we can do that don't involve pharmaceuticals and don't necessarily involve getting something cut off. There is life in between all of that. And that's where I come in. I talk to women about ways to be preventatively well and ways to deal with what they already have. Not trying to contradict the doctors. And sometimes I work in concert with doctors. I am the health coach for several MDs, but to help them with their nutrition programs, with their fitness programs, to help them with other holistic practices that they may not know much about, like tapping and aromatherapy and meditation, to help them with their whole spiritual renewal, not necessarily from just a religious standpoint, although I do happen to be a Christian, but spiritually in terms of connecting with their inner self and their intuition or Holy Spirit or that inner voice or whatever you want to call it, the wisdom that we definitely have within us that is so valuable right now. Women over 40, 50, and 60, you are so valuable. You have so much life experience, wisdom, and all of that. And we just kind of like, we've been living life a lot of times deer in the headlights, barely keeping it together and realizing that at midlife, something has to change. And I believe that midlife does not mean no life. Midlife is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to be the sum total of everything that you are, good and bad, because you need the bad, because the bad is what took you to the good. So that wonderful woman that you want to be. So a few years ago, I had this brand called Wellness Woman. I still have it. I had two brands, Distress the Mess, which was a holistic stress reduction program. Then I had the Wellness Woman 40, which was a wellness program, which talked about nutrition and, fitness and all that stuff. But I felt like I literally one day, and I kind of like what do you call it? Redo it on my website, kind of recaptured on my website. I was walking and I was trying to think of what I could do to really reach women in terms of getting them motivated to be well. Because it's one thing to have the knowledge, because when I talk about, I think a lot of women know, at least I believe they've been exposed to it, but knowledge is definitely power. But actually acting on that knowledge is powerful. And so, what can I do for women to exercise the knowledge they already have, to get inspired, empowered, and motivated to want to do some things differently? And so that's when I came up. I said, I want to help women, midlife women, kind of raise their vibration a little bit, instead of, being like at 347, I want to try to help them get to 547, because that's where we all want to be. That's where you're
Right.
And so I said, I want them to vibe. And I said, yes, I want them to vibe. And I came up with this acronym. I kid you not. I was walking in the streets listening to music. Probably with Megan Trainor, listening to music. And I guess a vibe. I said, I want them to be vibrant, intuitive, beautiful, and emerged. And so that's where the vibe came from. That's where it came from. And that is what I talk about all day, every day for the last 2.5 years. I began to slowly change my brand to Vibe. You still see some wellness woman stuff out there, but I believe that Vibe is really what I'm all about. Helping women to be more vibrant, helping them to be more intuitive. And being more intuitive does involve wellness, because you got to clear out the gunk so you can hear that inner voice, and helping them to be more beautiful, not talking about the outside, but if you're doing that inner work, it radiates out, and you get this glow. And then emerging into the total woman that I know everyone could be. So I created some programs to go with this whole vibe thing. I've got coaching programs, group coaching programs, and also I have individual coaching programs. And I'm so excited. I'm getting ready to do a VIP day, which we talk about later. And, that's one website which will lead you to the Vibe website. But there's another one, too. And I can put it in the chat if you want me to.
Okay, I can do it. Go ahead.
Okay. It's a Vibe Wellness Woman.
Okay.
Double check it. It's vibewellnesswoman.com. Yeah.
Okay. Keep going.
That leads you to my Bible. I just want to double check myself saying it the right way. But that leads you to my whole new brand, the wellnesswoman4you.com. You can get to it that way too. Wellnesswoman4you.com takes you to my other programs, and then the Wellness Woman, the Vibe Woman will too. I think Wellness Woman takes you to everything.
Okay.
So anyway. So everything began to change to Vibe, and I have a podcast, the Vibe Living Podcast. I also have my Vibe Wellness Woman YouTube channel, and I have this great group of women on Facebook. About 2 years ago, I started a Facebook group, and in January, my Facebook group had about 6,000 women or something like it in there. Well, now I think it's almost 9,800 women from all over the world, 90 different countries, who are exchanging ideas and supporting and inspiring each other on different ways to be well in their mind, body, and spirit. And that group is called the Vibe Living Women, or something like that. If you put in Vibe Living, it'll come up.
Right.
But that's another group that I have. So I do that as well. And I also do a Facebook Live show called Lynnis Minutes. And that's basically wellness advice in just a few minutes. And I'm on Clubhouse. I have the Vibe Living 40 Plus Club on Clubhouse, as you know. And I'm on Instagram. I'm starting an Instagram show next week, where I talk with people on Instagram. And it has been an amazing journey. And people ask me, Lynnis, where do you get your inspiration or your energy from? And let me tell you, I am not like this all the time, but I have to say that when you are operating within your gifting, when you are pursuing your passion, there is a different kind of energy that's different than maybe what you had when you were working for in your career.
It is. It really is.
No, but when you're operating in your gifting, all of a sudden that becomes the thing that kind of drives you. And I have this goal, and it hasn't happened yet, but God told me that eventually I will be able to reach millions of women. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be in a stadium with millions of women. I don't think that's going to happen, but that my audience will grow. And so, and it's beginning to happen bit by bit. I just signed with a influencer agency that hires gray models, and called Celebrate the Gray. So, that's fantastic. But I think the main reason why I wanted to pursue that vision is because that I believe that God has placed me here on earth to do what I'm doing, to try to help women, not just educate them, but to get them motivated. That midlife is not a curse, it's not a sentence. I believe that a lot of women are beginning to realize, hey, this doesn't have to be menopause, doesn't have to be the thing that takes you out. You don't
Right.
have to go and sit in a rocking chair and just wait for the end to come. You don't have to have a house full of all your grandbabies watching them instead of them watching you get on the plane
Right,
saying bye, see you
right,
later. You know,
right, right,
I
Exactly.
right.
love them. Not that you don't want to be supportive, but we have lives to live
Yes,
and things we're
yes,
supposed to do.
yes.
So that's my story, so to speak.
That's awesome. Kay, did you have a
Yes,
question for our wonderful guest? And I
I
have the website
do.
here for all of you who want to connect to that Instagram, connect to that Facebook page, connect to all of the vehicles where you can reach her. So that is the vibewellnesswoman.com. Please go into that and get her. She has a book that's out, Power Up Superwoman, that you can also order on that website. So we want to make sure that we promote everything because this is going to really help a lot of women. A lot of women.
Yes,
Go
it
ahead,
is.
Kay.
I hope so.
Lynnis, I want to ask you, we're going through right now unprecedented times. How has the pandemic strengthened who you are and to help women, especially women over 40, because we've seen a lot and we continue to see a lot as we continue to go through this journey. So how, can you talk about what techniques or that you have given your client base as we're going through this, because we're continuing to go through this. I spoke with this about with Kim before we went live, that we're still growing through this journey called COVID.
Yeah, we are definitely still in a pandemic. That's
Yes,
the reality. Whether you think, vaccines are government controlled or whatever the Sam Hill it is, bottom line is people are getting sick. Okay.
yes,
And that is traumatizing. And for midlife women, it's almost like a triple whammy. First of all, in
mhm,
midlife, you have your transitions in terms of your overall life. You might be retiring, you might be realizing you can't retire, you are going through a divorce, or your husband's getting sick, or you're taking care of aged parents, or you are taking care of grandkids. Whatever it is, things are changing. And then on top of that,
mhm,
your body is changing. Literally, sometimes you wake up one morning and you're like, "What the heck is this? Where's that extra stomach
mm,
coming from?" Or you got
mm,
flashes. You're sitting up having drinks with friends, and all of a sudden you're breaking out, and this waterfall's coming down. Hormonal things going on up and down
mhm.
emotionally, and then added to that, for the first time in hundreds of years, you're living in a pandemic that seems to go after your demographic. With
Yes,
older people and women of color, if you happen to be a woman of color, that's a lot of trauma. And what I have been counseling my women on is the whole idea of, first of all, giving yourself grace.
Mm,
We are
mhm,
not gods. We are not perfect. I wish I could get rid of that word perfect. There is no such thing. Only Jesus is perfect, as far as I'm concerned. There's no perfection in human beings, and instead of always feeling like we have to be human doings all the time, I think we need to start being human beings. Allow ourselves to just be. Many times, the things that we are dealing with that don't have a lot of solutions, we sometimes have to step back and just allow and to learn how to trust. Because the reality is, if you're, like, for instance, here listening on to this broadcast, the reality is everything has worked out for you.
mm.
I mean, everything really does work out for us until it doesn't.
yes.
And it doesn't. And when it doesn't, that means you transcended on to somewhere else. But as long as you are alive, it's working out for you. I mean,
Amen.
you may have some issues going on. So focusing on what's working is extremely important.
Mm.
Operating in gratitude is extremely important.
Yes,
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 yes.
Choosing to do the work, to peel back the layers and deal the work with what's going on with you is important. I
yes,
kind of look at it this way. We have two sets of people, regardless of their age or their socioeconomic background or their cultural background. You have people who are the walking wounded, and you have people who have decided to not be the walking wounded. The walking wounded are people who are sick, not just emotionally sick, but physically sick or whatever, and they're just not dealing with it. It's like, oh, well, that's the way it is, or
Yeah.
they're taking pills and just
Yes.
not dealing with the causation of why they're that way. They're just that way. And then you have folks who are like, yeah, I know something's wrong and I want to fix it and I want to do the work to fix it. To me, the pandemic is an opportunity to do the work to fix it. It
Hmm.
definitely had to slow us down. It definitely had
Yes.
Mhm.
us
Yes.
finding different ways to be. And
Right.
it
Yes.
definitely had us basically, because you're slowing down, finding different ways to be, you begin to start doing some self assessments and taking a look at, okay, what is it I do need to do to be more healthy? Because we are immune, in terms of our immune system as a country, everybody in the whole world knows that the United States isn't really all that. We got issues.
Yes.
Issues.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Like
yes.
everybody else, we've got issues. Yes, we are probably one
Yes.
of the richest countries in the world, probably one of the richest countries in the world, but so what? We still have items of concern that we have not addressed. And as a result of the pandemic, all of that came out. And the
Yes.
same thing
Yes,
in
it
terms
did.
of our own lives. People got sick because our immune system is compromised in general. Our
Hmm.
immune system here in the United States is not good. Our healthcare system is not that great. And
Right.
our diets are not that great. You know, they call it the SAD diet. The SAD is the standard American diet. All of those things is one of the reasons why the pandemic hit us the way it did. While we
Yeah.
may not be able to solve the whole issue in terms of what's going on, I think it's going to have to just run its course. I don't know the answer, but individually, I've told my clients that they can be part of the solution in terms of taking better care of themselves and then passing this on to their girlfriends and their families. And that means making some lifestyle choices, making some changes. And again, it's not about what you look like. As I've said, there's some size twos who are really sick, but there's also some
Yes.
22s who are sick too. You know where
Mhm.
you are. Let's be honest. You know what's going on with you. You may not have the diagnosis, but you know that something's not right. And
That's
that's the
right.
other thing. We go to the doctors, and I empower my women to do this. You don't go to the doctor and just lay there and let him tell you what's wrong with you.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
go to the doctor with your journal or your
Hmm.
pad, and you
Hmm.
tell him these are the things that I'm dealing with, and
Right.
these are the things. And if he reaches for the prescription pad and starts writing, he said, "No, wait a minute.
Right.
No, I
Right.
don't want any. I don't want you to order any drugs for me. I want you to order some tests for me. I
Right.
want my
Right.
full panels drawn. I want to know exactly what my levels are and everything else, so I can determine what it is that I want to do. Because this is your body. You get to make that decision. You make the decision
Amen.
if you want to go through something through traditional means, or if you want to find out about how you can heal holistically.
Holistically.
So this
Hmm.
is what I especially talk to my women about during this time. A lot of the women, I always try to find different ways to get them moving uh, without calling it exercise. I have a program called Vibe Moving, and we talk about different ways that you move. And one way that is a great way to move, but also helps in terms of eating better foods, is starting your own garden. Whether
Oh,
you
wow.
have one in your backyard and in your apartment. If you have one in your backyard, that's exercise in terms of the reaching, the stooping, and all that kind of stuff. If you
Hmm.
have one in your apartment, gardening can be meditative. Cutting, de-weeding and cutting back the dead leaves and nurturing it and all of that. Those kinds of things take you out of yourself and all this crazy stuff that's going on and gets you more into a contemplative, meditative state. And the reason why it's important to be meditative or contemplative or important to just be quiet is that's when the intuition comes. That's when the
Yeah.
aha moments come. And we need
Yes.
aha moments right now during the pandemic because you got all this
Hmm.
other crap coming at you, and it's almost
Hmm.
impossible to get quiet. But one way to
Right.
get
Right.
quiet
Right.
is to do things like gardening or other things. There's a whole list of things holistically that I advise them on. So what it did for me is it really made me peel back the layers in terms of how I can help my women through it. Of course, my clients have gone up because everybody got at least the COVID-19. 19 pounds, 19 inches, whatever it is you gained as a result of being sedentary, emotional eating,
Yeah.
all of that, or, having all this food dropped off at the house, all that stuff,
Yes.
and initially not walking because you were even afraid to go outside, all that stuff,
Uh-huh.
right? We got that.
Exactly.
We got that. But there's the other part too, and that's just the trauma of being,
Mm-hmm.
the anxiety that you're dealing with, the depression that you're dealing with. And I talk a lot about that.
Isolation.
The isolation.
Isolation,
Something
yes.
that's very dangerous because as midlife women, we kind of have a tendency to isolate anyway. It's very
Yeah.
subtle, but
Hmm.
it happens. You
Yeah.
want to go to pick up the phone to call your girlfriend. You're like, well, no, she probably has other things to do. I'm not going to call her. I don't want to be a bother. Maybe I'll just do this. Next thing you know, you've been in the house for 2 or 3 days. And
Mm-hmm.
your girlfriend, same thing. She's reaching out to pick. Well, no, I'm not going to call her. I'm not going to call Kay Renee because maybe she's too busy. And before you know it, you've kind of isolated out. That's why it's so important to spend that girlfriend time when you can, even if that means on Zoom. If we sit
Amen.
down or whatever, like you're saying, you're having connecting with your girlfriends. That's so important. Um,
Yes, it is.
Girlfriend time for midlife women is extremely important because there is a hormone that is secreted that really comes um, in a way that it does not come at any other time when we are spending time with other women. So it's healthy
Hmm.
for us to do that. So these are the kinds of things that I talk with him about. I talk with him about the opportunity during the pandemic to really get to know what kinds of things bolster their immune system holistically. One of the things that came out as a result of all this stuff, as we were being exposed for maybe not being that healthy in the United States, was the whole D3 thing. D3 is necessary for us to have a strong immune system. And it came out that African Americans are depleted in D3 for a lot of different reasons. Part of it is maybe genetically predisposed, but also our lifestyles don't support it. What happened was when the whole thing came out with the sun and the rays and the ozone layer depleting, and you got to put sunblock on, yeah, we did need to do something to protect ourselves. But whenever we're doing something that's not natural, I guarantee you there's going to be something that will pop up that is a symptom or an issue that you have to deal with as a result of putting a band-aid on something to prevent a bad thing. The ozone layer happened because we mistreated our environment.
Right.
We
Right. Right.
Hmm.
fix and put the sunblock on, okay, and it works, right? But here's the caveat: it works too good. It's not discriminating. So you end up blocking the good sun rays, which gives us the D3 that we need, the vitamin D. So what I'm telling my folks as more we learn more about the pandemic and it's okay to go outside and walk, get outside every day, walk every day. You need the exercise, but you
The
also need
vitamin
the
D.
sun. You need the sun to help boost your immune system to help protect you against this virus. I mean, you got
Yes.
you got to make sure you're eating plenty of blueberries. One of the best
Mm-hmm.
antioxidants ever is a
Mm-hmm.
blueberry.
Mm-hmm.
Fresh fruit and vegetables. I am not. I do meal plans. I do all kinds of meal plans, and I'm not saying that you have to be a vegetarian, a vegan, paleo, keto, whatever. All I'm saying is there's certain things you need to make sure you add to your diet. And raw food eating salads, dark, not iceberg lettuce. I know it's crunchy and tastes good, but I'm talking about dark
The dark
leafy
leafy
vegetables.
Yeah.
kale.
And then you don't put a whole bunch of I know Rufford dressing and Thousand Island might really taste great, but it's got so many calories and it's full of so much gunk that you
Hmm.
don't need. Many times it's got some dairy byproduct derivatives, which give you a mucus lining, which is where the toxins hide in your fat. So therefore, or in your mucus, don't eat that. Try a little bit of olive oil with a little bit of lemon, a little
Mm-hmm.
sprinkling of stuff. So I just talked to them more about this is an opportunity to work on improving your immune system. And it's also an opportunity to learn about meditation. You're at that time you're sitting at home working from home, and at the end of the day, you go from. There's this one thing that Trevor Noah did early on in the pandemic. It was a little thing that he did. You see him typing working and all that kind of stuff. He says, okay, I'm off, time to go, time to go and have fun. So he moves to the other end of the couch and that's where his remote is. So he can watch TV and play video games.
Right. 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 Right.
How it was for a while. Okay.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
so during that time, I said, you know what? If you instead of doing that, this is an opportunity to go through YouTube, find some exercise programs, and start doing it. Do it with a girlfriend. Go on Zoom, share a screen, put the video on, and you guys work out together. It's also a time to learn how to meditate, because you're going to have some quiet times. Go to your place wherever you go to get quiet, shut the door, whatever. And because during this time, a lot of us have racing thoughts and all this stuff going on in our heads. It's hard to stop those thoughts. And actually, when you're learning to meditate, it's not about stopping the thoughts at all. But to help facilitate the idea of meditation and that it is doable, I have something called 3x3. Not my idea. It was someone who I interviewed years ago on my podcast. And she was talking about this method called 3x3. 3 times a day, 3 minutes a day. That what she would do, because she was a recovering addict, and what she would do to help get still is 3 times a day, 3 minutes a day, she would meditate or just get quiet. And she said it was amazing how over time she began to learn how to meditate. She would do it in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening. And when you think about it, that's 9 minutes a day. Shoot, next thing you know, that's over an hour a week of meditation.
Right.
And meditation is important in terms of lowering your blood pressure. It's important in terms of getting clear and focused. It's important in terms of driving down your cortisol levels, which are really, really up. I know it's true for me. When you're under stress, when you're living in a trauma-oriented environment like we are right now, what happens for women a lot of times is your cortisol levels are going up. And they're already going up because let's say you're in midlife, they're already going up. And so then you have a double whammy of cortisol. And that's what thickens your tummy, your thighs, your butts, your arms. That's where a lot of that's coming from. And that's the reason why no matter how much you exercise or starvation diets or whatever, you can't seem to take that off. And the reality is it's hormonal. And so you got to approach that from the hormonal area. And there are things that you can eat that can help balance your hormones. And there are yoga moves you can do to help balance your hormones. There's aromatherapy that you can do to help lower your stress levels. These are all holistic things. They might take a little bit longer, but the results are lasting. When you're taking pills to lose weight or going on these crash diets to lose weight, it might work, but
for a little while,
it's not lasting.
Right.
Exactly.
There's some kind of other issue you're dealing with. At the age of over 40, but definitely 50, 60, the whole idea of going hard, getting in shape, going hard, that's not even what the experts know what they're talking about.
Right.
Whether you're in shape or not. And it's not the best way for us to lose weight. What we're focused on is moving, because it helps with hormonal balancing. It helps us spiritually. It helps us with blood flow. It helps us with getting a better night's sleep. Really, at this stage of the game, losing weight, or releasing weight, as I like to say, because if you lose it, you find it. Releasing weight is all about what you put in your mouth. It's all about what you put. Bottom line. So those are the kinds of things that I've been talking with my ladies about, and it's been working. And you know what? Remember I talked about perfection? I have to share this story with you. I have two things to share with you. The first story is I had a client who she had been working with me for 3 months. And when the pandemic it didn't lift, but restrictions lifted, I guess you could say, in some areas. And she and her husband started getting out because they were both high risk, because they both have health issues, and they're both, close to 65 or are 65. And so they flew to Vegas while she was working with me. They went to a postponed family reunion. They're trying to live their lives, but she was so concerned because she had, purchased, my meal plans and hired me as a coach, but she wasn't able to keep some of her appointments. And I thought to myself, we had a good month together before she had these things that she had already, booked before she hired me. So I poured into her as much as I could. Then I would, touch base with her once a week while she was traveling. So yesterday was our first day of seeing, whether anything had happened. And I don't have my clients weigh themselves, because that's a big setup, because midlife women go up and down, water gain, hormones, whatever. Right. It's not the best way. The best way is to take a look at the inches. Okay. And I had her on a fitness program that I put her on too. So anyway, yesterday was a big reveal day, and she was all nervous because she said, she had desserts when they were traveling. She drank a little bit, all this different stuff. Do you know when it got right down to it, she lost over 13 inches.
Wow.
Wow.
Because she thought she had,
Wow.
people said that her face was thinner, and it was. I saw it happening, but I wasn't sure. She said, I can't believe it because I didn't always do that. I said, you know what? Here's the deal. I tell people all the time, this meal plan is not meant to become a noose around your neck. And if you don't do exactly what's on the meal plan, like, oh my God, I'm going to gain weight, or this is going to be mad. Or, no, no, no. Basically, you do what you can. But the reality is, subconsciously, it puts it on your mind. And I said, think about when you were doing the traveling. Normally, she said, well, normally instead of one glass of wine that, I said 3 glasses of wine, I only have 1 glass because I know how many calories that's in that glass of wine now. So I don't drink as much. I know I need to eat a lot of fiber. So I would eat apples for a snack instead of grabbing French fries. And she realized that her behavior had begun to change. It's
Right.
behavior modification that helped her lose those inches. It just wasn't the whole idea of the meal plan. So when you are in that process of making a change in your life from a wellness perspective, understand that the results will come as your lifestyle changes. That's why the diet pills and crash stuff that
Hmm.
you do doesn't stick if you don't have a lifestyle that's supporting those changes. So
Exactly.
really what I coach my women on, I give them the tools and things, but we really talk a lot about mindset and talk a lot about their why, and also just put it on their mind to be thinking about these things. Give them the information, and subconsciously you begin to make other choices. And that's why she was so successful. And that just blew, I wasn't expecting that either.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we were just
That
like
is awesome.
yelling up and down. My husband's like, what's going on now?
Well, you know what? We have really enjoyed this
Yeah.
conversation. You have been the perfect guest. And I've gotten a lot, like I told you, for those of you all who really want to shift your life during this time, even if you're under 40, just to get prepared for life, follow this woman. Go into her website, vibewellnesswoman.com. Get her book, which is Power Up Superwoman. Listen to her podcast, the Wellness Journey podcast. I'm putting all your stuff up. The Wellness Journey podcast
You're
series.
right. I do have it still. It's right. That's still up. The Wellness Journey podcast, the Vibe Living podcast is still up. Lynnis Minutes is still up. You go to my YouTube channel, you can probably get all of that. You can find
Now,
my.
what is the YouTube channel called? I didn't get
It's
that
called
part.
the Vibe Women 40 Plus. But if you type in Lynnis Woods-Mullins, or if you type in Lynnis Woods-Mullins Praise Works Health and Wellness or something like that, it will come up. Or if you click on my link in on Instagram, it will take you to everything. Everything.
Right, and the Vibe Wellness Woman website will as well. Is there any? We're going to let you go enjoy some of that California weather, getting that vitamin D out there. I think all of us are having wonderful weather today. We have it here in Oklahoma City in the Midwest. Of course, have it in Chicago, and you have it out in sunny California. Is there any parting advice that you can give women today as we're on the last quarter of this crazy 2021?
Well, I really do think it's all about the vibe. I really do. I truly do believe that it's all about doing things that keep us vibrant, doing things that support increasing and enhancing your intuition, doing things that support the idea of developing that inner beauty that radiates out, that gives you that glow, even though you might have wrinkles or sagging jowl or whatever. It's that inner beauty that radiates out. And it's all about emerging, really emerging into the true person that you want to be, the true woman that you want to be. It is not too late. It's right on time. Whether you start at 40, 50, 60, or 70, it is never too late.
Mm-hmm.
Time is
Right.
precious. And there's no time like right now, the right time, and acting and beginning to live a life that you really want and a life that you love.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
You are my
Come
new Shiro, Lynnis. Just so you know, you're my new Shiro.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I hope you will let me come back again. I love being with you guys.
Oh, of
It's so fun.
course. Anytime you want to come, let us know.
Let
You
us know.
definitely would love to come
Anything
back.
that you want to promote. And we're going to have this on our Facebook page. If you want to put it on your Facebook page, Lynn,
Yeah, I
that would be
will. I
great.
definitely
And
will.
had a couple technical difficulties this morning, but we're working it out. We're working it out. So thank you so much. Blessings to you. Thank you for the advice you give us. Look forward to seeing you again on Clubhouse in all the rooms that you. Every time I look up, Lynnis start a room. I don't know how many hours you have in your day. It seems like you got more than
That's
9.
what everybody says, but actually I figure out a way to work it out. I figured that as long as God allows me to do it, I'm going to keep doing it. So thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Good for you. God bless you, and we'll see you again.
Bye, Lynnis.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Lynnis.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Oh, my goodness. Okay. I'm working on it. Y'all know. Y'all know. Okay, here we go.
There we go. Okay. There we go. Wow. I mean, what a way to start off with Sarah.
Something, Kay. I'm getting ready to do something, Kay. Hopefully we won't. Okay. For some reason, this did not stream on Facebook, but I'll put it on there later. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But anyway, we're keep going. Okay.
We're on YouTube though, right?
Yeah, we are on YouTube. We're on YouTube. We're on our Kandid and Kandid.
That's fine. That's fine.
Right. But that was wonderful. That was great. I hope to upload that for our Facebook, on our personal pages, and so people can see that, because she was amazing. Lynnis was really amazing.
Yes, she was.
And we hope to have her back. As I said before, her website is up. That's the vibewellnesswoman.com a website. You can catch her and you can connect with her, her book, her podcast series, and everything. So you can see her on that. And that's great. It's great.
Yes.
Do you have any things that you want to say about that?
No, I mean, everything that she spoke of was on point. And, that's when you live on purpose, ladies and gents. When you live on purpose, the energy it's effortless. And, it's just wonderful to see a woman who looks like us is living her life on purpose by helping other women.
Right.
So,
right.
Again, kudos to you, Kim, for suggesting Miss Lynnis. As I said, she's my new shero. She is definitely my new shero.
Keep her up, her website up just for a couple more minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, again, this is Kandid Konversations with K and K. We are here every Saturday at 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, and where we talk about different issues and different things that are happening in the world. Again, next month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. It is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. If you want to share your story, please connect with Kay Renee and I, either one of us, on Facebook or on Instagram, and we will have more information if you want to be on the show to talk about your story. But we really want to highlight those things in October so that we can eradicate both of those things that are really, especially domestic violence, which really hit our community very hard during this pandemic. It really hit all communities, but hit our community very, very hard. So I just wanted to say that. Kay, did you want to get candid for a moment?
Well, before we get candid, I'll give my nugget, because I really want to talk about what we had agreed to talk about today. And it talks about, she talked about journey. And, my nugget is simply this. I want to give this nugget. The journey is in your joy. So whatever you go through in life, ladies and gents, find gratitude in the journey. Good, bad, or indifferent. There's gratitude. Everyone has a different journey that they must go through. But in the journey, you must find joy. So.
Yes. I don't know if this is a Bible verse per se, but I think it is. I count it all joy. I think that's Paul. I count it all joy. And it's very difficult to see it. This week, I am going to be featured on a podcast called Late Bloomer. And I will post that later on in the week. And I talk about my journey in the last 6 years in which I lost everything. Everything. Lost my job, had to sell my condo, kind of was disenfranchised from my family. And the journey that I had to go through that and how God has restored all of that. Not because not because I was so disciplined or whatever, but it was work, it was praise, as I say, praise, pray, and push because of those things. And I'm going to be posting that. But in the midst of all of that, I counted it all joy because I really leaned on the ancestors because as I said, God didn't bring me this far to bring me this far.
That's right.
And I knew that he had brought me out of other stuff. What is the gospel songs? As I look back over my life and I think things over, I can truly say that I've been blessed. I got a testimony. God doesn't just give you a testimony in one season. He gives you a testimony in all seasons.
Yes, he does.
So I count it all joy. And it was hard. It is not easy, but I count it all joy. So I'm glad that you mentioned that, Kay. Did you have anything else?
Just giving you a hug right now. Just know that. I got you. I got you, Kim.
Thank you.
So
we are still celebrating the birth of Miss Kay Renee, who turned, I can say 54. So we are both now 54.
Yes,
we are looking forward to the double nickel of 2021.
Heck yes.
I have some great things planned.
Wait, I've already started. I told you privately, but I told my tribe, get ready for double nickel, September 22nd, 2022. It's about to be off and popping.
Well, I looked into a trip to go to, maybe, I don't know if I should share, well, whatever, Paris and Rome next year. It's time. It's time.
Where you going?
Paris and Rome.
Oh, heck yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I've looked into that. So we'll see about that. So let's get candid. Go ahead.
Well, as you talked about earlier in the broadcast, graduate student Jelani Day was found near I think it's the Illinois River. And you know what really is, I pray for his mom. I pray for his family. I saw the pain, the anger that she exhibited during this process. And there's been some talk about this one title, Missing Women, white women in particular, that there is another young lady that was all over the news over the past weekend. Her and her boyfriend had this Romeo and Juliet-like storyline. And I think she unfortunately was found dead in, I think it was Utah, Wyoming, one of the two states. But it was all over the news. But Jelani Day, who is a black man, was doing the right thing, going to school, studying speech pathology. You heard nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. And then it bothers me when I hear some of our European counterparts say, well, I don't understand why y'all keep talking about racism. Well, God dog it, it still exists.
Mm-hmm.
So there needs to be the level playing field, just as in life, regarding all ethnic backgrounds, same goes here. And it just really gets me, where my blonde hair stands on edge. You want to add some thoughts to that?
Well, over the last 10 or 12 years, 710 indigenous women have been disappeared or not been found in Wyoming. And this is where this young lady's body has been found. And let me just say to her family, I know that this is devastating for them. This has been devastating. And we send our thoughts and prayers to them.
Absolutely.
But not only are men and women of color disappeared and not getting the attention, but also the killings that have been going on in various cities, especially of our home city where you still live in Chicago.
Yes.
Many of
Yes.
those murders have not been have
So
not been solved, and
I have
so
I have a family member. It's been over almost 15 years,
yeah,
not been
yeah,
solved.
not been
Yes.
solved. And so when I look at CNN, which you all know I watch all day, and they got charts. I mean, I was watching it the other day. They had charts and graphs and all. And I'm like, what is this? And you know, shout out to Joy Reid this week for talking about the white missing woman syndrome,
Right.
that was penned by the phrase by the late great Gwen Eiffel.
Mm-hmm.
Is that when the white woman, I mean, they're still talking about John Bonet. They are still,
Exactly.
you go on
They still talking about they still talking about Nellie Holloway. Come on
right,
now.
Lacey Peterson, and all of
Thank
these
you.
people. And you know, and I said to those families, we send our condolences. But there are men and women who have been missing, who are of color, who are missing and get nothing. The woman who's Jelani Day, his mother had to practically beg for people to say something about him. If it wasn't for
Exactly.
Roland Martin, we would not have known about this.
Exactly.
So, you know, we live, let me bring all of this together. We live in a society that doesn't care about Black people. And this is why we say Black Lives Matter.
That's
The
right.
fact that Breonna Taylor and Trayvon Martin are dead through no fault of their own, and no one is in jail for either of those killings is an abomination.
That's right.
It is an abomination. And the reason is because they don't care about us. There used to be a time when people used to mention reparations to me. And I would say, you all need to get out of here with that foolishness. But because of the mindset of people, the mindset of the colonizers that had back in the day, that still continues to this day, that we are nothing, that we are here to lucky to be here, that we are here,
Yes.
we owe them something. That mindset is still there. And as a result, the Trayvon Martins and the George Floyds and the Breonna Taylors get murdered because nobody cares. And even still, you have Haitian immigrants who have come over here for a better life. Let me just say this, and I hadn't planned on doing this. I understand why we are doing what we need to do for Afghans. I get that. What makes me upset is that in the job that I do every day is try to find housing, food, keep people's utilities on. That's basically part of my job. I cannot get housing for many people that come into my office. But all of a sudden, the Afghans coming here, we got plenty of housing. We got plenty of resources. We got food, and we're going to help them. There's something wrong here, especially when the homeless and people who don't are out, utilities get cut off, are veterans in this country.
Mm-hmm.
That is a shame. And Haitian Americans are coming over here because, to be quite honest with you, the things that they have gone through, 2 major earthquakes, a coup, the president has been assassinated.
That's right.
People are coming over here for a better life. And to see those men with babies being whipped, and these men on horses, it triggers us.
It does.
It triggers us.
It's a bad trigger of trauma that we as a people have experienced over 400 years ago.
Yes.
We'll probably continue this conversation, ladies and gents, but just know that, as we always say, we must stay prayerful. We must stay prayerful. That's part of self-care too, is to stay prayerful and be aware of your surroundings.
Right. And also contact your Congress people. Contact your Congress people. Let me just say this, and I'm done. And I'm just, my brother was saying as he's doing his sermon, and I'm done. Do not come to my church. Do not come to my face asking for a vote. and you voted against the George Floyd bill. Voted against the George Floyd bill, voted against the John Lewis bill, and done nothing to say anything about these Haitians. Please, because what I will say to you will not be cute, and that's getting candid. Anything
Hurt.
else?
No, my dear, I think we have covered the base. We're about to end Self Care Awareness Month. We also want to say this is also Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. So, for those individuals who you feel you don't have someone to talk to, there is the National Suicide Prevention Line that you can call
And
to
I
get
deleted
the
that.
information that you need. There is always hope.
There's always
We're
hope.
we're going through some unprecedented times. If you need to to someone, talk to someone. You're
Hmm.
truly not alone. Know that.
Right. So again, we say happy birthday to Kay Renee. Hope
Thank
that you
you.
continue to enjoy your brunch today. If you could just
Thank
be with me
you.
for a few minutes after we end this broadcast. I love you.
Sure.
I love you with the love of Jesus. And I wish nothing, nothing but the best for you. Nothing but the
Thank you,
best
my
for you.
dear.
So with that, everybody, continue to pray, praise, and push. Continue to listen to us. We are going to get some of these technical things off the ground as we maneuver this. We love you. God bless you. And we will see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. Bye.
Bye, guys. Be safe.